So Tom Brady was on Fox Sports Radio yesterday. He was on The Herd with Colin Cowherd, which you can hear on many of these Fox Sports Radio affiliates. And I don't know if he's still in roast mode, but
seems he hasn't come out of it.
Well, I don't think he was
on the pivot doing roasting too.
Yeah, well, he was on the radio yesterday, and I'm not sure if he's aware of the fact that some things you can and can't say on the radio. We talked about walking the fine line here on this show. Like, we've got to be very careful about things we say. Sometimes you can get dumped. And Tom Brady yesterday was discussing his approach to broadcasting now that he'll be the part of the number one team with Kevin Burkhardt this upcoming NFL season. So let's listen to Tom Brady on Fox Sports Radio yesterday.
There are definitely parts of me that are hyper competitive, and certainly they were as a player and as an athlete. I love that competition. I relish that competition daily. I didn't give if it was practice, if it was a game, if it was ping pong, if we were playing trash ball in the locker room. I wanted to win. There's other parts where I feel like I've matured a little bit, and I don't necessarily have to be absolutely competitive in everything. It's a little more selective. I think if I want to put effort into something, then naturally I'll be more competitive at it because I'll invested a little bit of my time, a little bit of my energy into it. Certainly with a broadcaster, I don't think for me it's about competition. I think for me it's about, did I put everything I could into it, and did I give the fans everything that they tuned in for?
Yeah.
And that's really how I'll end up gauging myself, and I'll have to look at myself at the end of every Sunday night going, did I do a good enough job? Did I live up to the belief that Fox had in me? Did I live up to the expectations of my teammates, Kevin Burkhardt and Aaron and Tom and Richie Zions and Rich Russo and our entire truck, the entire team? That's ultimately how I judge myself in that new role.
That's a guy getting prepared for the gig.
Okay.
And also a guy
very comfortable.
The wild card in the room, because there was some speculation when Bruce Arians did broadcasting for a year. They're like, how's this going to work? He's got a bit of a foul mouth. Like, how's Bruce Arians going to work?
He does have a little bit of
Man, maybe Brady's got that foul mouth.
It comes out too. It comes out easy.
Yeah, came out on this show.
Came out easy.
Trying to figure out how that happened.
We had to dump it. In fact,
we did.
We didn't right there, though, did we?
We did.
Yeah, we had to dump it.
A little bit of a technical issue here.
Probably should have been bleeped out so that the people could hear it.
I think that it was, and something went haywire there.
Well, Tom Brady deflated the bleep out.
Yeah, he said shoot, but a different word.
Yeah.
I'm really fascinated and curious to see how he will be absorbed by the masses, because he has the ultimate trump card to any of the yahoos, any of the folks that have an opinion on social media or want to criticize whatever he does, because he is the greatest of all time. But before Tom Brady, there was Joe Montana, who was the greatest of all time, and yet it didn't work out for him, for whatever reason. And so I am curious to see what the reaction will be, what the criticism will be, because you know that it's going to be out there. And you know, based on his affiliation with the Pats, there's probably Pats fans who will love him, some Tom Brady fans who will love him, and maybe they're Bucs fans who love him that are excited to see him. But when you're as successful as he is, when you're a good-looking guy who's well-spoken, who's successful, there's going to be plenty of haters out there too. And given his style, just the little bit that we've seen over the years, you know, it's really more when he became a Tampa Bay Buck. He was kind of out in the public more, at least, you know, at press conferences and doing other things. And now since he's retired, I think he's going to be polarizing. I think he's going to be very polarizing with the way he calls games, because he's not going to be afraid of giving his opinion. I don't think he's going to be afraid at all of criticizing. And that's really what that job entails. So I'm fascinated to see how this is all going to work out, how it's going to be absorbed. which D-bag on X or whatever else or Instagram or something that's going to have a comment to make about something he said.
Where would they be sending that comment from?
It could be from their parents' basement.
Okay, very good.
It could be
profile
from
picture.
Wherever they're living, where they feel like they're really big in their community, but no one really knows them,
right?
Outside of their quote unquote community.
Fair.
It's all in things like that. But it doesn't matter. That's the funny thing is, it doesn't matter who these guys are, and Tom Brady's the greatest of all time. There will be people who try to take issue with something that he says, which is always fascinating to me. It's like, why do you care that much? But people do. They love sports. They love their team. They're willing to defend them, even versus a guy who's won 7 Super Bowls.
They're also going to be quick to judge. They're going to, because anything you do, and I'm sure you guys have called games before and done radio before. The first one in comparison to the one you do, in week 10 or the
drastically different.
Yeah, and so if he comes out and maybe it's a little rocky the first game, there's going to be people that go and they gave Greg Olsen's spot to him for this. And it's like, dude, give him a little bit of time. I know what he's making. I know who he is. I know there's anticipation. But it's going to take him time to probably find his rhythm through all this stuff. And he's probably going to get significantly better through the course of the season.
I think he's finding that rhythm and that time now.
Like Tony Romo's gotten worse.
I would not even begin to compare the two of them for the simple fact that if you know who Tom Brady is, his preparation is going to be through the roof.
That's why I think he's just going to get better and better.
I was going to say there might not be more polar opposites.
Well, but that's my point is that Tony Romo, it felt like because of that, he's gone in the opposite direction. Whereas Brady, if he struggles week 1, I think he's just going to get better and better throughout the year.
Can I be honest though too? I feel like there's a lot of folks behind the scenes who pushed Romo to be favorable. And I'm not going to completely out everything, but there was such a strong push behind the scenes for him to be liked and for him to be like, hey, he's our number one guy, because of the move that CBS made was controversial. Phil Simms had the greatest Super Bowl performance ever. Arguably, I guess you want to put it that way. And you moved on from a guy who had been doing a good job, who did a good job. At least that's my opinion of it. For a guy who had never, that job entails having to call a Super Bowl. And there's probably a common thought out there that like, hey, how can you call this if you've never been to one? So it's controversial. Like people feel like if you're in the broadcast booth, you have to have at least been able to say you've been there. Maybe not even win it, but at least been there. There's a lot of executives, a lot of people who feel that way. And so when they went with Romo, he obviously didn't have any of that in his history. Again, the success of Tom Brady compared to Romo is not even comparable.
Not even clear. Yeah, not even
clear. And even you could go a step further, like, look how Tom Brady takes care of his body, how he trains, how he prepares, everything else, how he portrays himself. It's not even comparable. So you have this really stark contrast between the two where when Fox hires Tom Brady, like, there's no justification. Like, they don't need to come out and say, hey, guys, we need to like Tom Brady. He's going to be really good at this. Like, they don't need to do that. His resume immediately speaks for itself. It's one of the reasons why he warrants what he's getting paid and why, executives will go to this, make this move. Because they know that to the audience, he comes in with immediate credibility, even though he's got no experience of doing this job, because of what he did in the prior job that he's talking about on TV. And whereas with Romo, there's still a lot of skepticism, at least when he initially took over the job. And so there was a lot of people behind the scenes who were pushing to make sure you talk favorably, make sure you're excited, make sure you talk about how great it's going to be, how great he's going to be. There was a lot of that going on. And then as you heard him do the job and as things wore on, you're like, wait a second, this isn't really what we kind of thought we were signing up for here,
I think he missed a game for a golf tournament, if not mistaken. I'm almost positive.
Did he?
Yeah, I think he qualified for some tournament and missed a game. And I want to say that was like 2 or 3 years ago. So I can't imagine Tom Brady's going to pull that off. But I do also think this. All the love.
I was going to say, you almost said my name in there. I was like, don't worry. One, I'm not good enough at golf to actually make something where I would be in that situation. And two,
hold on. You're my Brady, okay?
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
wow.
loyal.
That's cute.
I'm loyal.
I think you're actually misconstruing this story, by the way. He didn't end up missing the game. I think he would have ended up missing the game, but he missed the cut.
Oh.
So I understand. I think this was like 5 years ago, but at least this was it was a Vikings game. I think that was what it was.
Well, I think to Brady's point, to Jonas's point, I think it's still the idea that he's not all in.
Right.
There's still the idea that if he made the cut, he would have missed the game. So I just don't. I know that they're everybody is and at their level, they have a level of multiple things that you're doing. All right, you're diverse in what it is you have going on. I just don't think that Tom Brady is going to, at the point in time which he starts calling games, will have anything on his plate that is more important than his focus and him nailing what it is he's going to do in calling these games. I just do not. Just knowing how he is and the times that I mean, the dude is as competitive like I've seen. I've been at Preakness with him. The way they gamble and the way they hang out, all them dudes together, it's super competitive.
Don't you think that the fact that Greg Olson's getting all this love, and Greg Olson did a great job, and the fact that there is a lot of discussion out there about
why would you do this?
Yeah, you don't think Brady's hearing all that going, oh, you don't think I could do that good of a job? Like, if he's that competitive, that's just going to bleed over into this.
Are you saying he's got the red ass?
Hell yes. All he's been hearing is, I mean, for all of this, you're going to give up Greg Olson's job to Tom Brady. What is, Tom Brady's never done this before. There's no guarantees this is going to work out. People are pointing to all these other examples of guys like Drew Brees and Joe Montana and all these other guys that it didn't work
Rice.
out. I think
Emmitt Smith.
He's going to find a way and will himself to be great at this.
Did y'all hear Jerry Rice in the booth?
Was Jerry Rice in the booth, too?
Oh yeah.
Oh, my God.
I remember Emmitt Smith.
Go look up Jerry Rice in the booth.
So one of the hardest things I think is you have to have a chip on your shoulder. I really do, to be as aggressive, to really have the desire to want to continue to keep pursuing it like you did in the previous career. And look, some of these guys make so much money nowadays. It's like an afterthought of what they're doing. It fits their lifestyle. It helps pay some of the bills coming in, right? Still gives them some notoriety, stayed around the game. But it's not everything to them.
Yeah.
And I think to your point about Tom Brady, he's just not wired that way, right? It's almost like the Jordan documentary where he's making up things to be motivated about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would bet he's got you don't think I deserve to be paid $37.5 million? He might have that up on a mirror somewhere.
He probably pays somebody, pays his kids
just to talk trash.
Just talk trash to him.